The environmental regulatory landscape for the shipping industry has taken huge strides over the last few years to improve its operations. With the introductions of schemes such as Ballast Water Management Convention, Sulfur Fuel Cap, EU MRV, as well as the upcoming IMO data collection system, we have never seen such focus on how the sector can improve its environmental footprint. With over 90% of world trade moved by sea, the shipping industry is really taking a stand on how it can reduce the impact of its operations.
The environmental agenda is becoming more and more prevalent for the shipping industry these days. There's three factors coming into play. In terms of pure efficiency for operators, they're recognising that the more efficient their vessels are, actually it has a fundamental environmental impact as well. Secondly, there's a regulatory standpoint whereby there is greater focus both nationally and internationally on environmental impact of shipping. And in turn, ship managers are having to respond to this and find ways in which they can continue to run their business in this new regime. Thirdly, there's an ethical standpoint as well for many of these operators, that they're realising that they have a role to play in the changing environmental climate globally. The biggest impact this is upon the ship operators and ship management part of the industry. These are the guys who are really at the cutting edge, who are going to have to change day on day how they run their business and how they perform their daily jobs. With the increase in regulations such as sulfur cap and, more importantly this year, EU MRV, we're beginning to see an increase in the administrative burden. When we've been talking with a number of our customers, what we've seen is that the regulations have come into place and been passed down from international and national bodies, and now it's really the time where they're having to look inside of their businesses and recognise how they can change their business process rather than just the pure day-to-day management of a ship. The impact of this on their business is the increase in administration and the increase in audit on the work that they're having to do. The financial implications for the shipping industry of increased environmental regulation is multifaceted. On one hand, there's the impact of the cost of meeting the regulations. On the other hand, the increased environmental performance of vessels and the industry leads to increased efficiency as well, which in turn will help them to reduce their day-to-day running costs. In terms of the cost of financing and the burden of meeting the regulations, we're beginning to see a trend where many of the ship finance organisations are actually putting schemes in place to help both existing vessels and operators finance retrofitting of equipment and technologies, and we're also seeing a much more of a push on new builds for them to be environmentally friendly and to exceed the environmental regulations. So the new finance and the new money coming into the industry is really aiming towards greater environmental transparency and efficiency than we've previously seen. The latest developments for the shipping industry and the environmental agenda really hinge around the upcoming IMO MEPC meetings in London. At these meetings, we'll see the IMO DCS scheme really come to the front, and the industry debating on how they will implement a global CO2 and fuel consumption monitoring scheme. At this, there'll also be further discussions on the IMO sulfur cap and the continuing progress on the ballast water regulations and implementations. And these will really be the three key trends that we'll see in the industry. The IHS Markit supports these developments in a number of ways. For many, many years, IHS Markit has been at the centre of the shipping industry greenhouse agenda. Ever since the inception of the IMO greenhouse gas models, IHS Markit data has been at the core of that. It is also at the core of other regulations such as the EU MRV, where our data is seen to be the central points around which all of the models have been built. In addition to just the data, IHS also has a number of solutions to help ship managers and ship operators comply with these regulations. Our latest development would be our EU MRV solution to help operators monitor and report their fuel consumption and CO2 emissions. IHS Markit has built our EU MRV solution from our existing capabilities that we've had in place for the industry for many years. We've used our ships ownership and ships characteristics data, partnered with our best-in-class AIS network to allow us to bring these capabilities together to create a product to meet maximum regulatory compliance with minimum fuss for the manager and operator. The unique capabilities of the IHS Markit EU MRV solution is that we bring efficiency and reduction of administrative burden to the ship manager and ship operator. Through the integration and automation of many of the steps of the EU monitoring and reporting process, we have created a solution based on best-in-class data and best-in-class capabilities. That means that any manager or operator working with us can efficiently get back to doing their day job rather than having to spend extra time solely complying with regulatory operations.
IHS Markit is working with key industry partners and some of the largest commercial companies to deliver greater clarity on environmental impacts and business intelligence. To find out how the Maritime and Trade team can assist you, please visit ihsmarkit.com/environment.